People have often asked me this question: Vaughn, what is your opinion, or what are your thoughts on Depeche Mode tribute acts? Well, let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers. First things first, happy 2022. I hope it's going to be a great year for you, your family and your loved ones. And I personally am looking forward to this year with a lot of great things planned for this channel. And while we're at that, if you've just come to this channel and you're a Depeche Mode fan, I'd like to say, where have you been? Because this channel does cover Depeche Mode in a lot of detail. We're currently in the middle of my Depeche Mode album review series. We are now on Violator Part 13. That's right, Part 13, because we do not leave any stone unturned. And make sure you put this date in your diary, January the 9th. That's Sunday, January the 9th, where we do the final part of Violator, which is Part 14. I will be concluding with Clean, which is the last song on the Violator album, as well as giving the album a rating. And then we'll take a little bit of a breather and a break before we get onto the big one, which is Songs of Faith and Devotion. If you check out my video history, you will find a wealth of content with loads of interviews ranging from people from Gareth Jones, Brian Griffin, Dave Bascombe, Pino Pescatola, a lot of the original producers and mix engineers involved in Depeche Mode, and covering subjects in ways that have never been covered before. So all I ask is that you subscribe, and it's free, and join this community. And you can also join the Vaughn George Facebook group. The Vaughn George Facebook group is a private group, and it was set up as a forum kind of platform to discuss the videos that we talk about on this channel. And of course, and if you want to go even deeper, I do have the Vaughn George patron community, where you can join for as little as $2 a month and get in-depth content, as well as help support this channel moving forward. March this year, I will be releasing my third Vaughty album, which is called Dark Society. I'm very excited about that, and we are in hardcore, full-on production at the moment, and that also includes remixes from some great producers, including this one, a remix from Gareth Jones himself. So click there or on the link in the description below to hear that remix, and you can get all the other information in the link below about my Vaughty project. Right, so let's jump into today's video, which is all about Depeche Mode tribute acts. One of the suggestions and questions I get the most is, Vaughn, have you ever considered interviewing Alan Wilder? And then I usually go, no, I've never ever thought of that, but thank you, great suggestion. Never say never. But another question that comes up a lot is, Vaughn, what do you think, or, what do I think of Depeche Mode tribute acts? And it's not something I've really ever wanted to sort of get involved with. It's not something I've really sort of focused on, but because that question has come up a lot, I thought, well, let me talk about it. And as always, I will give you my honest opinion. Some of you will be offended, some of you will agree. But hey man, this is just me. Straight between the eyes and honest. So what do we think? Well, personally, I had mixed feelings on tribute acts in general. I'm not a fan of cabaret and things like that, and that's not to say if you're a Depeche Mode tribute act, I see you as a cabaret act. That's not what I mean. It's just my focus has never been there. I'll put it to you this way, and now this is for me personally. This is me personally. Sometimes I do like Depeche Mode covers on piano, and what those are my interpretations, and I sometimes do live performances and have done live performances. But when I do that, I don't try and sound like Dave Vaughn. I don't try and sound like Martin Gore. These are basically just me, Vaughn or Vaughty, singing Depeche Mode songs in my way. I've always been an advocate for, if you're going to cover something, don't copy it. Don't do it to sound like the artist. You've got to bring something unique. You've got to do a cover to express your artistry. Something that just pops into my mind now is Tori Amos, who's a piano performer and singer. She's amazing, and I'm just thinking of a rendition she did of Enjoy the Silence, a rendition she did of Karma Police. To me, that is how you do it if you want to cover something. You, as an artist, need to cover something and bring something new to it in a way that expresses and showcases you as an artist. But now that's a completely different thing, because that is when you are presenting yourself as an artist. So I understand that when you are a tribute act, the rules are completely different. And there are indeed those people who are solo artists, but then they do the whole tribute act as a, as kind of like a sideline, or a, as a day job kind of thing. And to be honest, it would be great to actually do the Depeche Mode tribute act thing as a day job. So I understand it. There are those people who are artists in their own right, but then they do the Depeche Mode tribute act on the side, and I understand that. Now, there are upsides and downsides and pros and cons to being in a tribute act. First things first, if you are a solo artist and you release yourself as a solo artist, people can't really compare you to anything. They can say to you, they can kind of put you in a box maybe and say, oh, you sound a little bit like this or like that, as they do with my solo work all the time. And I'm sure if you're a solo artist, you get compared to other people too. But when you are a tribute act, it's a double-edged sword, because really, if you go on as a Depeche Mode tribute act, it's very clear what you're doing. Everyone knows Depeche Mode. Well, fans know Depeche Mode. So when you go on as a tribute act, it's very clear in the fan's mind as to what Depeche Mode sounds like, what Depeche Mode looks like, and you've got big shoes to fill when you do that. So this is why I think I personally would never want to do the whole tribute act thing, and that's just me personally, but I do take my hat off to those people who do it. To go up there and to really step into the shoes of giants and pay homage to it is a very difficult thing. And because we all know what the standard of Depeche Mode is, to pay homage to it and to get it right is very, very difficult. Now, there are tribute acts and there are tribute acts, and there are many, many different types. It's not something I've really focused on, as I say, but I am aware of some of the big ones. And of course, there are those, what was that one called? Is it Milwaukee Mode? Now, I never understood the Milwaukee Mode thing. There were times I'd watch it and go, okay, this is a joke. This is not serious. And then I'd watch it and go, oh no, they're having a laugh. And people I've seen debates where people would say, are Milwaukee Mode for real, or was it a joke? And I must just say, I do understand that the singer from Milwaukee Mode passed away. I only learned that recently. Pardon my ignorance, and I rest in peace. The whole Milwaukee Mode thing, I do think personally, I think it was tongue-in-cheek. I don't think they were taking themselves seriously, and it was a lot of fun. And rest in peace to the singer. And I liked it. It just you guys know I'm a little bit crazy sometimes, and I do like lightheartedness. And I think Milwaukee Mode definitely were going for that end of the market. But then, of course, most tribute acts go for the serious end of the market. I think every tribute act there. I mean, if I was in a tribute act, my goal would be to sound as close to the artist that I'm replicating as possible. Now, something that I see coming up a lot in discussions about tribute acts and stuff, especially with the Depeche Mode tribute acts, there are those that dress up like Depeche Mode, and there are those that don't dress up like Depeche Mode. They are more focused with the sound. What are my feelings on that? Oh, that's a tough one. I personally think it's very difficult to dress up like someone. I mean, I could, if I was in a Depeche Mode tribute act, I couldn't go up and pass for Dave Gahan, could I? But I'm sure I could pass for Fletch. Yeah, baby. If anyone's hiring, Vaughn George is up for a Fletch part in a Depeche Mode tribute act. Just kidding. Personally, I think it is more important to focus on the sound, to try and sound as much like Depeche Mode as opposed to looking like them. Here's a bit of bias. I'm going to make a shout out to Forced to Mode, because out of all the tribute acts I've seen, and bear in mind I haven't seen them all because I'm not focused on them really, I think Forced to Mode are one of the most outstanding ones at the moment. Now, Forced to Mode, for me, are great because they focus intensely on the sound. They really, really go for the sound. So it's more about the sound rather than rather than them dressing up like the members of Depeche Mode. However, Christian, hello Christian, we've interviewed Christian on this channel before, and indeed the other members of Forced to Mode. Christian just happens to look like Devotional Dave, and he happens to move like him and sound like him, so that's like an added bonus. But I think even if he didn't look like Devotional Dave, he sounds like Dave. Is the closest sounding Dave Vaughn impersonation that I've heard. But he just happens to look like him. But then the other members are, you have the keyboards and the guitar. It's more about the sound. So Forced to Mode are a little bit different because they focus intently on the sound, but then they happen to have Christian who is the spitting image of Dave Vaughn, Devotional Dave. And then of course there are others that dress up like them, and of course I don't think there's any Depeche Mode tribute act that does not try to sound exactly like Depeche Mode. But of course, the opinions that I see floating around, some people don't like the fact that they dress up. Some people think it's ridiculous. It doesn't offend me. I think if you've got to understand, I'm an artist, and I think when you get onto a stage, it's performance and it's showmanship. So I don't have a problem with the fact that they dress up like them. But of course, I'm going to ask for your opinions at the end of this video. I must say that in recent years, months, I have been seeing a lot more, obviously just because of the nature of and the content of my channel. A lot of tribute acts are brought to my attention, and I must say I'm very, very impressed by a lot of them. A lot of Depeche Mode tribute acts I've never heard of. I'm being introduced to, by you, the community, and I must say that the standards are very high. With some being better than others, and some that started off not very well that have gotten better. As we get better when we do things more and more and more. Something I must pay homage to tribute acts is the fact that a lot of them, the good ones, that is, they play the songs that Depeche Mode don't perform anymore. And the last time we saw Depeche Mode, the last time I saw them was at the Olympic Park here in London in 2017. It was a huge arena tour. And, me being there as a fan and as an observer, I could tell by the audience reaction, the audience weren't that really into the new Spirit stuff. And I think that this is a problem with bands that have been going that long. People are always more into the older catalog. But I think I've said it before on this channel, and some of you have been offended by it, but hey man, I'm honest. Spirit was a very disappointing album to me. And of course we'll get to Spirit once we get to it in my album review series. There are many reasons, and I'm not going to go into it now. But I could just gauge by audience reactions how people were. There was a part in the set where I think they played 3 songs from the Spirit album kind of back to back, and there was definitely a slump in the audience. And then I think they came on with Everything Counts and then did a few of the older songs, and that pepped people up. The point I'm trying to make is, I guess what's good about tribute acts is that they cover some of the Depeche Mode songs, songs like Here Is the House, and, there are certain songs like People Are People. Depeche Mode are never going to do that live again. I think Martin doesn't want to do those songs, and it's understandable because Depeche Mode being current artists, despite the fact that they've been around for years, I think as a current artist, you're more interested in pushing your current material. As you guys know, if you watched my Gary Newman interview, he told me as well, he's completely focused and interested in the future, and he's got no interest in nostalgia. And this is the thing with Depeche Mode. They are future focused. They're not really interested in what they did in the past. But this is where I think tribute acts are great, is because they give us, a taste of that nostalgia. They allow us to celebrate those, those golden years, which I call sort of from the Some Great Reward up until Songs of Faith and Devotion period. There is, of course, a lot more I could say and a lot more detail I can go into. You know me. But to summarize, do I think Depeche Mode tribute acts are a good idea? Yes, I think they are. It's not something I personally would want to do. However, I think it is great to have people that are focused on reproducing some of the Depeche Mode classics in a very authentic way. So that we, for the people who like nostalgia. So yes, I'm not against it. I do want to hear from you, though, because I think this is where it gets very interesting. So anything you want to say about the tribute acts, who's your favorite? And also, here's a good question. How do you feel about the ones that dress up versus the ones that don't dress up? Is that important to you? Is it not important to you? Or is the sound more important to you? There are no wrong answers here. I just want to read your opinions, and I want you to engage with me. Right, so I thought we'd start this year off on a nice, fun, light-hearted video. The Depeche Mode album review series will continue next Sunday with the final chapter of Violator. And until then, I invite you to subscribe. Lots of love, and I'll see you on the next video. Adios. Peace.